So I've got another isometric here for you. What I suggest you do is hit the pause button and get your isometric paper out and see if you can draw this. This is a relatively complicated one. If you can get this one pretty close, you're doing pretty good. And what I'd like for you to do is to email it to me. There's my email, jacktheexamguy@gmail.com. If you're not in the course, you can reach me at this phone number right here, or if you're in the course, you're also welcome to call me anytime. And here's my website, jacktheexamguy.com. I'm having some issues of them saying that it's a dangerous website if you've got Norton or McAfee. So just try to get past that if you do have one of those one of those programs. So here we go. So here is our drawing here. We've got it's a three-story. These are the first two floors here, and this is the third floor. All right. Get a look at those and do that drawing and hit the pause button if you like. Try to do it and then come back and see if you got it right. So the first thing I like to do is let's get that orientation right. If you're not familiar with this north, south, and east and west way, you may want to join source and get with the program there. All right. So and same thing. So north, south, east, and west is top, bottom, and the two sides. And then when we go to the isometric paper, of course, it's at angles. So let's get that done. And then what I always suggest is we do the largest drain lines first. First of all, we're going to do the drain lines, then we do the venting, and then we do the labeling. Okay, so we do that just in case we make a mistake and we're not erasing, vent lines and labeling and everything else. We're just erasing the drain lines. So we have a soil stack. We have a soil stack here. Soil stack up, soil stack down, right there. Okay. So it's on the right hand side. So on the right hand side, I'm going to do a vertical line right there. That's my soil stack. Okay. So what do we do next? Well, the next lines are these lines right here, right? And they are going from west to east. So they're going to go in that direction right there. So there they all are. Now, the placement of these is very important because you realize you're going to have to come up the wall with your wall water closet, right? You're going to have to come up the wall, and then you're going to have some venting as well. So it might be tempting to go, all the way up here, but you got to make sure that you leave enough room for your venting. And then down here, now I've come all the way to the bottom. Why is that? Is because I know that there's not much going to happen here. I know we're going to go up the wall here. So this is where our labs are going to be. And this is going to go to the northern direction. So it's going to go this way. So there's not going to be anything going on down here. So I can bring this whole business on as far as possible. That's going to be really important. And if you pre-sketch these real quick, just do don't spend too much time doing it because time is of the essence. If you pre-sketch these before you put it on your isometric paper, that's going to be important. Remember, you only get one piece of isometric paper per drawing. Once you start erasing and what have you, it can get pretty ugly. And neatness does count. Okay. So we have our first, second, and third floor there. And we'll go on. And what is next? Well, what I've done here is I just going to do our verticals here. We're going up the wall, up the wall. And this one, here's what you have to pay attention to. Now, if you're in the course, you've seen this before, where you've got 4 labs and they're all going to a center line, and there's only one riser. So there's only one riser for these 4 labs right there. Now, you may not do it like that in the real world, but you know what? That's not what we're doing here. This is not the real world. This is a testing environment, and we're going to do things the way that the state wants us to do it. If they drew it a certain way, that's the way we're going to do it. Okay, so we go to the end of the line. Okay, and this has got a circle with a line next to it, so we know we're going up. And all these we're going up here. Usually a circle means we're going to go up, or vent's going to attach. Okay, so there we go for that outside. And what you can do, what I like to do on these, if you've got something that lines up from one floor to another, hopefully you have a clear straight edge, you can draw all these at the same time. And that way you know that you're lining these things up perfectly. Okay. And then we're going to do our other set of wall water closets. And then we're going to do, okay, we've got a little direction of flow going in right there. That's good. And then we're going to do our laboratory. So we got all of, this is the way we do our directions of flow, obviously. And I usually like to bring our labs up a little bit higher than the wall water closets. Okay, so I bring that up just a little bit. I don't think that's imperative, but I like to do that. Okay, so let's go to the next one. What are we doing next? Now I'm not gonna, all of that stuff's gonna be easy. Everything, hooking up, going each way on your water closet and doing your labs. We should be real familiar with that by now. That's gonna be easy. It's this stuff right here that's gonna be, and this stuff right here that's gonna be, gonna be challenging. All right, so here we go. We'll go to, let's start with this top. And which way are we going? We're going south. And look where it's got a little direction of flow, and it's hitting right there at the soil stack right there. Okay, so this is the way I'm drawing it. I've got everything but my directions of flow here. So I've got it real close to where when I do my direction of flow, I'm going to tie in right at the same spot that this other line ties in. I'm going south because this goes south. Then I'm going up because it's got to go up if it's going to be a drinking fountain trap or drain line. So got to go up somewhere, and this is where our circle is. So I'm going up here, and then I'm going to the east. Okay, so it's south, vertical, and then east, and then we put our trap on there as well. And sometimes I just like to do these and not do my directions of flow yet. And then there we go. Then I toss those directions of flow in there. And that's going to pretty much, show us what we have here. It's going to demonstrate what we're doing right here with that soil stack. Okay, now let's go to these down here at the bottom. Now this one doesn't tie in right at the soil stack. It ties in just off the soil stack. So, and what's going to happen is if we go north from here, that's going to be challenging because we're going to be crossing our soil stack and doing that. Now this has just come up in the last 6 months or so, to where when you're crossing two at least drain lines, and I don't know about vent lines, one of the things about the isometric drawings is you never can get real clarity sometimes on these details about what they're looking for. I know that when two drain lines cross, you've got to show where they don't connect. I'll show you that in a minute. Now, vent lines, I'm not sure of. So that means what I want you to do is read the instructions. Read the instructions and make sure that, because it'll probably be on there, to be careful to show that they do not, the drain lines are not connecting if they're crossing each other. So what do I mean by that? Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're going to the north, all right? So we're going in that direction on that line. Follow your lines. The good news is you're following your lines on almost everything on this particular drawing. So you're going to the north, and this is what I'm doing here is I'm showing that there's not going to be a connection here. It crosses across there, but we stop it and then we pick it up again over here. Okay, and then what do we got to do? Yeah, that's right. We got to go. If once we go north, then we got to go vertical, okay, and then we go east. So we go east, and then it's back south. So it's north, vertical, east, and south. North, vertical, east, and south. I did this incorrectly the first time. I did both of these incorrectly. This one's real easy to get wrong. Okay, it took me, and I had to do a bunch of erasing and go. There's still a mistake on this. I'll see. Have you picked up on the mistake that I've made yet? Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and throw in all of our directions of flows. Okay, so we go up, we go north, vertical, east, and then south. But anyway, so we have our directions of flow in there. We have our little trap on there. Okay, we show where it's not going to. And this was our mistake that I just fixed. Okay, so for one thing, we don't need that soil stack going up because this is the top floor. Okay. So I had to do a little erasing right there. Okay. And here I had the arrow going down. And look what it shows here. It shows the building rates actually going to the east. So I had to change that. Okay. So I do a little erasing right here. And you see the smudge marks? And go this way. Okay. So yeah, so it's looking pretty good so far. So let's go to the next one. So we go ahead, we've got the same thing going on the first floor and the second floor. So we go ahead and do that one as well. And then let's just go ahead and finish up all of these other wall water closets and labs. We do our north and our south. That's north and south, north and south. All of these, then they're lining up. Everything lines up. It all looks really good. We've got to go before we go out of the wall. We've got to go east and west. So that's what we're doing here. We're going east and west, and then we're going north and south, north and south. At this point, this is one of the last isometrics in the course. You should be real familiar with that by now. Okay, and then we throw our traps on there. All right. So what do we do now? Do we have everything? Do we have everything in place? And now we're going to do our venting. Okay. So on our venting, remember each one of these floors is vented, separately. That's the way they generally do the multi-stories. So we're going to try to, this one's going to come right across here and end with our vertical right there. Now I am not going to when we cross lines with vents, I'm not going to try to stop them and pick them up on the other side. But I want you to read the instructions on your exam. If your state exam, when you go down there and take that state exam, if it says that vent lines, you have to show that as well on vent lines, then you do it on vent lines. I'm not going to. It's going to get way too messy if I do that on this one right here. So anyway, so I'm going to start that. I'm going to start that one vent line. Now this vent line does continue on up because it's going to go to the roof. All right. And then we're going to have to do our vent lines that go across this way. So we've got that going on. We got the first floor in. Okay, that's looking good. And we'd go ahead and do our other two floors on our on our vent lines and going across the ceiling of the other two floors, obviously. Okay, and then now this is where it's going to get tricky. We're going to have to bring these vent lines back in. Now we can't just go. A lot of times it'd be real tempting just to go straight up, right? Can't do that because think about it. This thing is way off to the side. It's way further to the south here. There's no way if you go straight up that it's going to connect with that vent line going this way right here. You're going to have to go up because vent lines generally go up, and then you're going to have to go over like that. So you go up and over like that, up and over. Okay, to catch that one. And once again, directions of flow do not have to go into the vent lines, so we're good there. And now we just have to come and do the bottom ones now, the first and second floor. So these tricky little vents are going to have to come up, and then they're going to have to come back and tie in to this cross one right there. So there we go. We go up and back in. Can you see how ridiculously crowded it's going to be if I had to stop all these every time? So I am not doing it on this drawing. And once again, read those instructions on the state exam. And we got another one. Boom, right there. So here we go. We've got all the venting here, and now all we have to do, and these are going to be super easy. They're just going to go vertical. We see we're connecting here, we're connecting here, we're connecting here. Same thing at the top. So boom, we'll just go ahead and go up like that. How about that? All right. So the only thing left to do, and I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to just get this all just too much going on here, is we didn't label. Make sure you do your little thing at the top where you do VTR, vent to the roof, label your vent stack, label your soil stack, label your floors, first floor, second floor, third floor, and then of course label all your fixtures. These are all wall water closets. These are all labs, obviously. This is a DF drinking fountain, and this is a service sink. Now, the good question is, why do we go vertical? Could we have not gone vertical in a service sink? You know, on a mop sink, I don't go vertical. On a service sink, I do go vertical and it comes out of the wall. That's another one of those things you just never get 100% clarity about on these isometric drawings, because you really can't talk to anybody that does the actual drawing. It doesn't seem like they ever can put you in touch with anybody that does the grading, I mean. But so I actually went on Chat GPT, and Chat GPT says generally service sinks come out of the wall. Okay. Now it wouldn't be impossible for it to come out of the floor, but generally service sinks come out of the wall. Once again, if it's a mop sink, you're going to want to come out of the floor. Okay, and just label this thing right here, and you are good to go. And you can email that to me, and I'd love to see how you do. Maybe you can do it a lot better than I did with all, taking your vent lines and any time they cross, you would show that. Some of my students are getting really, really good at these drawings, and I'd be interested to seeing them. This has been Jack Sheffield, Jack the exam guy. I want to thank you for listening, and don't ever let anybody tell you you don't know Jack. Thank you so much.